statistical mathematical fact
never has been down.
has broken every single record. There is no asset that has come close.
It's the only thing in the industry that was not touched, that was not hacked, and it never fails doing what it promised in 2009. It's never
What's
failed.
the best performing asset the world has ever seen? And you'll find out that it's Bitcoin.
Hello, traders. Welcome, Bitcoiners. Welcome, subscribers, followers, supporters, haters, negators, Bitcoin naysayers, all of you. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome to another surprise live session with Oliver Velez. Of course, my name is Oliver Velez, and once again, we're going to talk one of my favorite topics anyway, if not the favorite topic, which is Bitcoin. So come on in, guys. Grab the beverage of your choice. Maybe grab something to take notes with. Let's get down to business here. Let me know where you're coming in from, guys. I'm curious, where are you coming in from? What part of the world? All right, what corner of the globe are you coming in from? All right, Barcelona. Daniel says, I am from Barcelona. I see Mississippi is in the house. All right, fantastic, awesome. Now, you might not be able to see the comments, guys. I'm actually reading the comments here. All right, saying I'm at work working as hard as I can to stack as much sats and knowledge as possible. Awesome. Amsterdam is in the house. We can start. Amsterdam is here. I love that. All right, Socialist State of California, UK is in the house. Texas, Miami, Montreal, Canada, Virginia, Portugal. All right. Manchester, England. Awesome, guys. Awesome. We are an international group. I like to sort of wait until we get a couple hundred people in here before we actually start. We're at about 160 or so. But I think we can. I think that's good enough. But those are rookie numbers. Hopefully those numbers get pumped up a little bit here. All right, guys, look, Bitcoin trading at $58,000. Quite amazing to me at this particular point in Bitcoin's halving year. I think, I certainly know that I've been pounding the table on this over and over and over again, but it's worth repeating. Repetition has a certain value. This is every 4 years, as most of you know, Bitcoin has its what's called its halving event, right? Its issuance gets cut in half. Now, of course, if demand stays the same or even continues to grow for Bitcoin and the issuance of new Bitcoin coming into the world, being made available to the world gets cut in half, then of course, that's just a mathematical formula for an incredible price surge. And Bitcoin has been following this 4-year cycle from the beginning. Ever since it's come into existence. A big boom happens after the halving event. But here's the thing. Most people have not done enough work to understand that the big price appreciation that occurs after the halving, all right, because there's price appreciation before the halving, but I'm talking about the big meteoric price appreciation in Bitcoin after the halving. Most people haven't done enough work to understand that effect is a delayed effect. It doesn't happen immediately after the halving or on the halving. It takes about anywhere from 6 to 9 months for that effect to work its way through and start to be felt in the form of the USD denominated price. Okay, so we had a 4-year halving in Bitcoin on April 19th. All right, this 6 to 9 month period historically puts Bitcoin around right before the presidential election takes place. That is in that zone, a little bit before, Sometimes it's a little bit after, but in that US presidential election time, Bitcoin freaking rocks and goes on and on and on to produce the meteoric part of Bitcoin's 4-year cycle run. Every 4 years, Bitcoin has a very big run, but there's the meteoric part of the run that I'm talking about that happens after the halving, not on the halving, not immediately after the halving, about 6 to 9 months after the halving. This is when this takes place. Now, I pounded the table on that quite a bit, just so that I help you not to forget that, and you don't get hung up or caught into these narratives. Bitcoin's not performing like it should. It's not moving. It's not doing anything. This is nonsense. These are from people who haven't done the work. Bitcoin is one of the most reliable asset classes humans have ever had access to. It delivers by far the highest degree of certainty than any other thing that we have as human beings access to. So the certainty is higher than anything else we know in life. And its reliability is higher than anything else we know in life. So this reliability, this consistency is often repeated in incredibly the same way every single time. Every single time. Now, I'm going to show you this. We'll look at this. What's also interesting is that each 4-year period, there is a relationship that seems to happen with gold every 4 years, Bitcoin and gold. Okay. And what is that relationship? Gold kicks off the run to the upside every single time. It's almost as if gold says, look, let me go do the run first. I'm older, you're younger. All right, I need a little bit of a head start. So look, while you're resting, I'm going to get a head start and I'm going to start rocking to the upside a little bit. All right. I know you're going to catch me later and blow past me, but at least give me the dignity of getting a little head start so I just don't look that bad. So while Bitcoin is basically preparing itself, backing and filling, prepping itself, gold is rocking to the upside. There's a certain point where gold finishes its run and passes the baton to Bitcoin, and Bitcoin takes the baton and runs like there is no tomorrow. Now, I'm going to show you this, and I believe if you haven't seen this, you're going to be quite amazed at how the same thing happens every single time. So let's go to some charts here. I will do this for you. All right, we can't have a session without taking a look at some charts here. I'm going to bring up a gold chart here. Okay. And as you can see, gold has been doing quite well, guys. And quite honestly, I'm impressed. I'm impressed, just like I was impressed all the way back in 2020 when it did the same thing. But so let's do this, guys. I'm going to take you to, we had a halving on April 19th of this year. 4 years ago, that halving occurred in May. Okay. I can't remember the date, May 4th. So anyway, it was in May. Okay. So we're going to go to the 2020. I'm going to go to the 2020. And we're going to find May. Okay. So here's January 2020, April, here's May. All right. So somewhere in here, this is the gold chart, but this is where Bitcoin had its halving. But I want you to look at when gold started rocking. And you'll see that it started here. It started its run in the second half of 2018 and ran right into, maybe a little bit before, but more or less just before the presidential election. It's a little bit before, it topped out before. But yes, now it is here that it passes the baton to Bitcoin, and Bitcoin takes it to the moon. Okay? Now, let me show you this same period, all right, in Bitcoin. All right, let's take a look at the same period in Bitcoin, if I can. Watch this. All right. Do the index. Boom. Now, same period, guys, same period. Remember, gold was rocking, right? Remember, gold was rocking all the way to, boom, about there. I know I'm drawing terribly here, but while gold was rocking, what was Bitcoin largely doing? Going sideways. What's wrong with Bitcoin? Gold is rocking. What's wrong with Bitcoin? Now, this is gold. Oh, shoot. This is, can't do it. Anyway, this is gold rocking and Bitcoin is moving sideways. Okay? But it does pass the baton. You see? It passes the baton. Bitcoin is going sideways. Now look how long this is, guys. Look how long. I mean, I know we had this is COVID, but let's look how long we're talking about. Look at those dates. So we've got sideways action. Let's take the anomaly out of this, which was the pandemic. That's an anomaly. That's not going to happen again. So we can ignore that for a moment. And you can really see that Bitcoin was basically going sideways from, let's say, after the first quarter of 2019, it's going sideways all the way into the latter part of 2020. So this is a year and a half of sideways action, a year and a half of sideways action. Meanwhile, gold is rocking to the upside right to there. When gold falls off, when it passes the baton, Bitcoin takes off and the crisscross, the flippening happens. Now, if history's any guide, we're very close to this happening now. So let's go to the period now. All right. Here we are. Let's go back to gold. Let's go back to gold here. Look at gold now. So gold is rocking. It starts here. It's rocking to the upside. All right. Same thing, halving year. This is the halving. Where did this halving go? Let's see here. Let's find out where the halving is. April. And more or less here. So the halving takes place here. That's not That's the where the halving in Bitcoin took place. But just to give you a reference point, but gold is rocking from 2022. Now remember last time Bitcoin was going sideways almost this entire period of time. But look at it now. Look at BTC this cycle. And what you'll see is that this cycle, it also was rocking along with gold. Do you see that? Last cycle, it was going sideways, while last cycle, Bitcoin was going sideways while gold was rocking. Then it took off. Gold starts rocking and Bitcoin starts rocking along with it and saying, I'm not being left behind anymore. Very fascinating difference this time. The sideways has came late and is shorter term. So what I believe is going to happen is that gold is going to top, pass the baton, it's going to drop, pass the baton to Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is going to, just like it always does, it's going to take out or take over from what gold was doing prior. Now, this is utilizing past cycles as my God, utilizing the historical, for what has happened historically as my guide for what is likely to happen now. We are coming upon the time in Bitcoin's halving year. Here was the 2020 halving year, 2020. Here's the halving in May. Let's mark the halving. Let me show you this. I'll do it with, let's mark the halving. So here's the halving. Boom. May. We don't really take off until right here. Boom. And that bar is October 20th. Now, I'm not saying October 20th is special. I'm just telling you that Bitcoin has historically taken off in its halving years just before or a little bit after the US presidential election. And guys, from here, we more than doubled in a few weeks. I want you to understand what happened. This is October 20th. That arrow that I'm pointing to is October 20th, right here. Let's put it there. Let's put it there for you. Let's blow it up for you. This is the takeoff bar, right? Boom. That is October 20th. By the end of the year, this is the end of the year right here. Look at where we are. That is, let's put it here. I'm sorry, I have the wrong bar. That was the first week. So here, boom. The high of this bar, 34,800. So we go, guys, from 11.6K to, let's round that, 35K in weeks. In weeks. That's crazy. Now, what this, so I hope you see, this is crazy. Now, what if, well, let me just do this before I ask you this. So let's go to the now. Let's find the halving. Halving is April. Let's right there. All right. So here's the halving. This is the halving. Right there. Now, let's go to right before presidential election time. We're talking about right here, more or less. Let's round to 60,000. So let's say we're at 60,000. Okay. Remember what Bitcoin did last time? It went from, let's do that. So this is crazy, guys. So let's just say that if Bitcoin doubles twice, like it did last, where does that put you from 60,000? Because one double puts us at 120. Do you see what I'm saying? Guys, every time I show things like this based on the past, okay, a lot of people, well, I always get this response from people that says, well, Oliver, how can you be so sure that the past is going to repeat itself? And I understand where that comes from, but it's silly when you assume that something that has happened 3 times in a row, 4 times in a row, 5 times in a row, so forth and so on, that it's at a certain point, you have to assume, you have to get off of the notion that this is not going to happen. It's not like it's one time, it's every time. And so it's the only thing that we have to go by. We only have history to go by. We only have what happened to go by. Otherwise, anything else you come up with is just an imagination. You understand? It's just an idea. It's a figment of your imagination. Using what has happened in the past, you're using data. You're using something real. You're using what actually took place repetitively every single time. If Monday, today is Thursday, if Thursday always follows Wednesday, I'm going to bet every single week that Thursday is going to follow Wednesday until that changes. Now, if it changes, we go back to the drawing board. You understand? But until it changes, I'm betting that way. I'm playing that way. It's crazy. So, last cycle, Bitcoin doubled twice in a few weeks. It's crazy. If it does this, now listen to this, guys. So check this out. So it doubles twice inside of a few weeks, right? It doubles twice. There you have it right there. Boom, doubles twice inside, boom, of a few weeks. Okay? And continues. This is just until the end of the year, it doubles twice. Okay. It did this, people. It 2x, right? It doubled twice inside of a few weeks. Get this. Without spot Bitcoin ETFs being approved, without regulatory clarity, without some of the largest money managers in the entire world, your BlackRocks, your Fidelities, and so forth and so on, into Bitcoin, without FASB rule changes, no longer making it punitive for corporate and publicly traded companies to hold Bitcoin on the balance sheet, without small nation states adopting it, calling it legal tender, without the UK passing a law that Bitcoin is now property, without politicians taking pro Bitcoin stances. I can go on and freaking on and freaking on and freaking on. It did this without all of that. So, what should we expect now? Shouldn't we expect that it outperforms what it did without it? Because it has a constant institutional bid in the market. It has some of the biggest money managers that must have a buy bid in the market 24 hours a day forever. You do understand that an ETF's job is to buy every single day, every single day. Now, I know that there are days there are outflows. That still doesn't mean they're not buying. There is a permanent institutional bid in the market for Bitcoin that it never had its entire life. It has now. So I believe that with all of these things, we should expect more than what Bitcoin did last cycle. Now, we should expect more than a 2x. We should expect more than what it's done. Now, kind of lost my thought there, but this is absolutely astounding if you really wrap your head around this. And it's very, very powerful. This also means that your window of opportunity to get Bitcoin under 60,000 right now, which it'll probably never see again after this period, your window of opportunity is disappearing. Got the thought back. I know how dangerous it is to say this time is different, that this time should be different, this time should be bigger, this time should be more amazing. I know how dangerous that is. But Bitcoin is also already proving that it's different this time. And no time in Bitcoin's history did it make an all-time new high before the halving. And this time it did. So if you look carefully, sorry about that, guys. If you look carefully, Bitcoin's halving last time, right? I want you to look at this. I want to. This is Bitcoin's halving, right? Right here. Let's go. Okay, right there. That's the halving. But this is the cycle high. So this halving never made it. The halving is here. It didn't make a new high before that halving, right? It never did that. Bitcoin has never made a new high. Its halving has always been deep under the prior high, all-time high, deep under. So you're 100 and almost 20% under the new high last cycle. Well, this cycle, Bitcoin makes a new high, right? Before the halving. Remember, last time it was 120% below. So it was 120% below. So you're talking about 20s, maybe? You're talking about maybe here? That's where it was the last time. Now it's here. So it has never done this before. The halving has never taken place this close to a cycle high. It's always been much lower than the cycle high. So Bitcoin is already proving to be different. When presidential election time comes, it's usually down here somewhere, and the high is up here, and it has to make up a lot of ground before it moves to a new high. This is not a lot of ground. We're here, and look at the ground we have to make. So this move from here versus down here, this move should be more explosive than if it had to start down here. Do you follow what I'm saying, guys? It's starting from a higher, unfettered, it's going to reach price discovery faster. All right. Now, let me get to this. Let me get some comments here. I see some decent comments here. Yes, Oliver, but the market previously didn't have corporations to manipulate it. You can't manipulate Bitcoin. I don't know where this comes from. I hear it a lot. But I mean, what's the source of this? So, okay, I have Bitcoin in self-custody. How is that manipulated? Bitcoin, every 10 minutes, issues new Bitcoin. How is that manipulated? Every 2,106 blocks, Bitcoin has a difficulty adjustment right on time. How is that manipulated? Every 4 years, Bitcoin, more or less, Bitcoin has a halving. Its issuance rate cuts in half, a halving. How is that manipulated? How do you manipulate a market that is truly global? There is no place to go to manipulate it because it's all over the world at the same time, 24 hours a day. How do you manipulate what's going on in China, Japan, Taiwan, Korea, the UK, Canada, the United States? How do you manipulate what's going on in every country in the world interfacing with Bitcoin? You can't manipulate this. You can't. Now, with that being said, what I think you mean is short-term dumping on the market to create cascading stop-outs. That does happen. Absolutely. All right. This is largely the activity of exchanges that know where your stops are on your over-leveraged positions. They're the biggest beneficiaries of these cascading drops. They know you're placing the orders on their exchanges. They know where your liquidation points are. So yes, that happens, and that happens in every market. But guys, let me just say this. If that is not manipulation, really, that's not manipulation, That's normal market play. That happens in every freaking market. You want to be over leveraged and have tight stops because you're over leveraged? Odds are very high that you get stopped out. I mean, I was a NASDAQ market maker. I stopped people out all the time. I knew retail had stops under the round number. They always think in round numbers. So we would try to temporarily drive a price. We could only do it temporarily, but drive a price down to break the even number, which is where retail typically places their stops, right? They use round numbers. And so anyway, that's normal market play. If there is manipulation, there's manipulation in what direction? Ape. Think about this. If there's manipulation, isn't it to the upside? I just shown you that Bitcoin is having the best halving of its entire life. Manipulation, if it is to the upside. No. I just told you that never has Bitcoin reached an all-time new high before its halving until now. Manipulation must be to the upside then. All right. Bitcoin has never reached this point in the cycle right before presidential election time, this close to the all-time new high. It's usually 120% or more below. We're this close for the first time in its history. Manipulation must be to the upside. Manipulation doesn't exist in Bitcoin. Moving price temporarily, that's always going to happen. To use over leveraged traders, that should be done. I think that's a very integral part of keeping a market honest. You clean out the junk. Excessive leverage needs to be cleaned out. And Bitcoin does that very well. But let's be careful how we use this manipulation. Your Bitcoin in self-storage, how is that manipulated? No human can touch it, take it, confiscate it, debase it, dilute it, inflate it away, steal it. The network can't be manipulated. It is literally working everywhere on Earth at the same time. To manipulate this, you would have to control it. Guys, you can only manipulate a market that you control the supply of. Gold is manipulated because the vast majority of the supply is centrally held. You can manipulate that. But you can't, no one has possession of my Bitcoin. Hopefully no one has possession of your Bitcoin. You know, people throw this manipulation word around. They're not market professionals, I understand, but it's a term that's thrown out there far too frequently, in my opinion. So let's see here. What else we got? What else you got for me here? Let's see. But OV, the CEO of Bitcoin can be arrested and manipulated. Yeah, right. If you can find them. Crazy, right? All right. Let's see. Do you anticipate a large wave of corporate adoption when the new FASB rule kicks in December? Talk about Godzilla-sized bid entering the market. Yes. I think well, first of all, the wave has already started to happen because companies could literally just request that they start this year in 2024, the new FASB rule. Officially, it is in full force on January 1st of 2025. But any company that wanted to could literally just send in a request and get approved to use the FASB rules applied to their accounting procedures this year in 2024. Because of that, we have seen a boon in corporate treasuries holding Bitcoin. Huge boon. A bigger boon is going to happen in the beginning of 2025 when it's literally, you don't have to ask the FASB board for approval at all. All right. Where it's just, you just do it. And I think that the floodgates are going to open as far as companies at least entertaining the idea, well, maybe 2% of our treasury should always be in Bitcoin. Guys, when these people and these firms and these organizations start to realize that if we had $1 in Bitcoin, $1 in Bitcoin 14 years ago, today it's $67 million. Do you understand this? When they begin to see this and understand $1 in Bitcoin 14 years ago, if you kept $1 in, it's $67 million today. $1. That's crazy. That's insane. Okay? As these companies, these organizations, these corporations, these nations, everybody realizes this, that yeah, maybe just 2%. That can't do damage to us. It can only do good for us if Bitcoin continues. I just think it's going to explode. I think by the next cycle, it will be normal for companies to have some percentage of their treasury in Bitcoin. And that's just a few short years away. Michael Saylor has revealed an infinite money glitch. And trust me, what he's doing is being studied by every single CEO of a publicly traded company today. Every single one. What he's doing is being studied. All right. What else here, guys? Crazy. What else here, guys? Let's see. Yes. But the last cycle, all-time high, was partially suppressed because of China's ban on mining. This is very true. The China ban on mining really put a dent in Bitcoin's ascent. Let's talk about that for a little bit. I've done this before, but again, repetition has a value here. All right, let's talk about this. I think this is an interesting topic. So let's go to last cycle. Okay, go to last cycle. And I want you to see the run up. You see, let's go here. You see this run up here. This run up got cut right here. It got halted. And it had to go all the way back to here again. You see? And then start again. But I want you to take this where it had to start again. You see? And I want you to put that on top of this. Put this dark green on top of this, continue it there. And what would you have had? You'd have had that. Do you understand? This should have been on top of that. it had to repeat. So what I'm saying, Bitcoin had to repeat this space twice when this should have just been that. Do you follow what I'm saying? Tell me if you understand what I'm saying. Does this make sense? That it had to double dip. It's like telling a marathon runner who's way in front of a 108-mile run. It's a 108-mile run. He's at the 64-mile mark, way ahead. No one's close to him. And then the organizers of the run says, "Wait a minute, you're winning too much. All right. We're going to make you go back to mile 28, because that's where Bitcoin dropped to, 28, more or less, from 64 to 28. We're going to go back to mile 28, and you've got to run again, starting from 28 all the way. And so this forcing of Bitcoin to go back, it should have been using that power not to double dip from 28 back to 64. It should have been using that power to continue from 64. This is my theory. This is my take. All right. Whether you agree with this or not, do you understand what I'm trying to explain to you? Did I adequately explain that secondary move from 28 all the way to 69 should have been on top of the first move? Somebody let me know. I know I'm dealing with somewhat of a delay here, but I'd like to see a few comments come by. So yes, Oliver, we got you. We understand what you're saying. You're welcome, Troy. Awesome. Good. Makes perfect sense based on your explanation. Awesome. So there's going to be no China bans. That's a one and done thing. Do you understand? We can put that to bed. That is done for good. That's a one and done. It's over. There's no China bans. So this time, we should not get interrupts like that. I mean, I'm not saying that black swans aren't a possibility, but it's not likely. So, what are we talking about here? We're talking about something like that. I'd say so. That's more or less, and even more. This is not even right. This is not even right, because shoot, let's do the end of 2025. Let's go here. Yeah, we have until here, right? So yeah, you can do something like that. You could have something like that. And that wouldn't even be, guys, this is not even out of the norm. This is assuming that Bitcoin's is going to do what it typically does. It's not assuming that we've got spot Bitcoin ETFs, we've got regulatory clarity, we've got FASB rule changes, we've got presidential candidates running on pro-Bitcoin stances, we've got small nation states adopting it, we've got hash rate exploding, we've got Bitcoin mining spreading like a freaking disease all over the world. Like, this is without all of that, and this would just be normal for Bitcoin. This would be normal. Do you understand what you see here? That would be normal. There is, and let's put it this way. There is, this got cut short, as we just discussed. This got cut short, right? So this got cut short this should have been there. All right, fine. But we do know that every peak is taken out considerably, right? So here's peak to peak, okay? To peak. And peak. We should be peaking much higher than the prior peak. Again, just using history as our guide. It's the only thing we have. We also know, as I discussed in last talk, that Bitcoin adds a zero every, it adds a digit every single cycle, right? Remember that? That Bitcoin adds a digit. You guys remember that? Guys, there was my, let me see here. Yep, there it is. All right, so Bitcoin adds a digit. So we started off with a single digit at 0. We went to a double digit at 12. We went to a triple digit at 653. That's made up of 3 digits. The next halving, we went to 4 digits. 8568 is 4 digits. Then we went to 5 digits. 62500 is 5 digits. Next halving, we're in 6 digits. The question is, where in 6? Is it 100s, 200s, 300s, or 800s? You understand? We don't know where, but what we do know is that the first digit typically, not every time, but typically is in the middle. You understand? The first digit. So look at the first digit. It didn't do it here. Okay. But this was such a huge jump. It didn't do it on the 12. But look at the first digit here. 6 is kind of in the middle. All right. 8 is a little bit past the middle, but higher. 6 is kind of in the middle, right? Of digits, 1 through 9 or 0 through 9, whatever, right? So what if the next having that digits 5 or 7 or 6 or, you understand? Like that first digit is usually in the middle somewhere. It's crazy, right? It's crazy when you think, when you start to consider these things. So we can put maybe a 6. It would be amazing if you could put a 6 in front of the 62, and it would be 662,000. Now, there are a couple of things that I want to make you aware of. And guys, if you should actually jot some of these things down, some of these price points down, all right? The world is still largely short the upside of Bitcoin. What does that mean? It means that they're gonna have to buy. You know how if you're short a stock, you have to buy it. You have to. At some point in the future, you have to because you're short. So being short the upside in Bitcoin means that everybody in the world is going to have it. Every company, every individual, every organization, every country, every nation state, every family, every man, woman, child, you're gonna have it. Now, the world is still largely short the upside. They're gonna have to get it. But let me tell you where the professional world is short the upside and where you're gonna see them come in my opinion, in droves. Number one, past 100,000 is a psychological number. It's just that most people can't fathom Bitcoin in 6-digit territory. That is going to psychologically be a wake-up call to a big portion of the professional world. Do you understand? Okay. And so 100,000 is that psychological number that I think also accelerates the mad rush into Bitcoin. Number one. Number two, there's another price that I want you to be aware of. Price number two is 100, let's call it 150,000. Maybe it's a little more, 155, more or less, but let's round it to 150. Okay. At 150,000, guys, that's a stone's throw away for a Bitcoin. 150,000, Bitcoin becomes the most valuable asset on earth outside of gold. Did you hear me? At 100, let me just show you this. I got to show you this just so you understand this, right? Okay. Just so you understand this. Let's look at this. You will get this right away. I know you will. Watch this. Watch this. This is cool. So today, Bitcoin is, it flops around here a little bit. Bitcoin is now the 10th most valuable asset on earth. Okay. Now just take a look at that. Out of all, it's more valuable than Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway. It's more valuable than Tesla. It's more valuable than Walmart. It's more valuable than JP Morgan Chase, Visa. It's more valuable than every bank on planet Earth. It's more valuable than everything on planet Earth except these 9 things above it. The top one being gold as a full asset class, right? Okay. Now, at 150, guys, at 150,000, Bitcoin moves. Let me show you. Bitcoin moves here. Now, 150,000, guys, that's just a little bit more than a double. We know we're going to get that. This cycle. What do I mean by this cycle? You will be there next year. This cycle ends in the latter part, if history's any guide, the latter part of 2025, November, December 2025. So Bitcoin is going to leapfrog all of these and be at right under gold and above everything else, all things being equal, this cycle. So my point is that my point is this. What do you think the number one held stock in the world is? Someone take a guess. What's the number one held stock in the world? What's the most owned stock in the world today? Tell me. Somebody let me know. I'm going to wait. I'll wait to see a couple of responses here. What is the most owned stock in the world today? It's Apple. Okay? It's Apple. Microsoft close, but it's Apple. Why? Because you can't not own, in the professional world, you cannot not own the most valuable thing on earth outside of gold. You can't. You can't. Even if you don't even like Apple, you got to have Apple. You're a money manager, you got to have Apple. You're a mutual fund, you got to have Apple. Everybody has to have Apple. Why? It's the most valuable thing on earth outside of gold. You can't not have it. You might hate Steve Jobs. You might despise Tim Cook. You might hate Apple products. Doesn't matter. You got to have it. In the professional world, you got to have it. Every wealth management firm, they have to have Apple. Every family office got to have Apple. Every fund, every index, everything has to own Apple. Do you understand? Every insurance company, every single pension fund, they have to. It is not a choice. So what happens when Bitcoin knocks these other 8 out of place and go right under gold as the most valuable asset on planet Earth outside of gold. That's happening in a few months. I believe you will see 150 in a few months, guys. This is months away, right? So when I say the professional world is short the upside, they're going to have to own it. They may hate Bitcoin, got to own it. They may think it's freaking I don't even know why this shit is number one, but I got to own it. Guys, what is about to come, in my opinion, is so stupefying that none of us are prepared. None of us. None of us are ready. Not even me. It's crazy, right? Wow. That's right. Pile is at the end of the rainbow. All right. Um, it's impossible to mine Bitcoin today. Where did you get that from? It's not impossible to mine Bitcoin. So any anybody can mine Bitcoin today. Now, if you're saying it's very difficult to be profitable as a small Bitcoin miner. Okay, that's a different topic, but it's not impossible to anybody. Everybody can mine Bitcoin. And I believe in the future, people, that every human being will mine Bitcoin. You'll be mining Bitcoin from your toasters, from your can openers, from your refrigerators, from your electric cars, every device, every computer, every cell phone, every appliance that you use, every car, every contraption in the world will be contributing to the Bitcoin network. And why shouldn't it? If the world's value is there, why shouldn't it? Bitcoin will be the biggest employer on planet Earth. Do you understand that Bitcoin employs human beings to work for it? It will employ more human beings than all the organizations on planet Earth combined. That the whole human race will work for Bitcoin. This is where, call me crazy, but how do you work for Bitcoin? You contribute hash, you can contribute energy, and all of your appliances are going to have little tiny miners built into them. You don't see this coming? Every cell phone, every electric car, there's electric cars now that actually mine Bitcoin. That's just going to be a freaking normal thing. There's heaters that you can buy today that mine Bitcoin, right? Mine Bitcoin with a heater. Like you can buy freaking Bitcoin heaters. Do you understand that this already exists? I'm not crazy, guys. Don't think that I'm crazy. I'm telling you what's already in existence, that it's just going to go to scale. We're early, right? Yeah, this is it. That's a little heater that freaking mines Bitcoin. And you're telling me it's impossible to mine? HeatBit Trio is the world's only heater purified that mines Bitcoin at 10 terahashes a second. So, guys, this is just the beginning. Everything that you have in your home is going to be contributing to the Bitcoin network. Everyone's going to mine. Every human being is going to mine Bitcoin. Crazy when you think about it, right? Yeah, and guys, the beginning, we're so early. It's the beginning. This might not be the right company to do it with, and so forth and so on. I get it. That's besides the point at this point. The point is that if you have a little bit of vision, you can see where this shit's going. All right. If there is one legitimate heating unit that can mine Bitcoin, don't you can't you see that in a period of time every heater on earth will do it? Because they're going to lose their competitive edge. Why would someone not want the heater that mines Bitcoin versus the heater that doesn't? Like over time, that's going to be silly. So all of them are going to do it just to erase the difference, right? That's business. And the first, if you start mining from your cell phone, every cell phone in the world is going to be mining Bitcoin. They're going to eliminate the difference. They're not going to. I wouldn't want to be a cell phone manufacturer and have someone be able to say, well, this one mines Bitcoin and that one doesn't. Everyone. So if you can just use a little bit of vision to see where this is going, every human being is going to contribute to the Bitcoin network. This is going to be the most decentralized protocol and network the world has ever seen. It already is, but I mean, by orders of magnitude more. And imagine how, if Bitcoin is unhackable now, untakeable, almost invincible now, think about when every human being is contributing to its security. Like, how do you kill that? You have to kill every single human being. It's crazy, right? Mm. My goodness. Thank you for breaking all this down in such a great detail, Ovi. It makes everything click with your added context. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. So, guys, my main goal here today was just basically to show you, because to show you this historical 4-year pattern of where gold is strong in this period, and typically it does top off right around now. And we'll see if that happens. And when it tops off right now, when it tops off around this August, September time period, Bitcoin really prepares to go into rocket fuel mode. You understand? And so the most exponential part of Bitcoin's bull cycle, because we are in a bull cycle. I mean, we're off the $15,500 low by a lot. So we're definitely in bull mode, but the most meteoric part of that bull mode happens in the final year of the 4-year cycle. The final year is 2025. But that meteoric part of the cycle starts right around presidential election time, maybe a little bit before, every single 4 years. That's the takeoff. And it has the potential to double more than twice before the end of the year. So when you hear some people like Samson Mao saying, I could see Bitcoin at 150 by the end of the year, or 200 by the end of the year, guys, people laugh at that. That's what it did last time without all of what we had. That's not even close to being out of the norm. That's normal. But I don't think it's going to be normal for all the reasons we discussed, because it now has more behind it. Yes, we were at 58,000 several years ago, but this 58,000 is not the same 58,000 that Bitcoin was a few years ago. In 2021, right? When Bitcoin was at 58,000, it was a pittance of what it is today. So the prices are the same, But what it is vastly different. It is more powerful, it's longer, more invincible, more unhackable, more supported by all the things we listed. It has so much more behind it. And so this 58,000 is really, truly real. And this 58,000, whereas that 58,000 last time was close to the top, this 58,000 is the kickoff, is the launching pad. So think of that. In 2021, it was near the top, 58,000. Now, 58,000 is the launching pad, the launch pad for the frickin' rocket. That's pretty amazing. Yeah. A big does the ETF double? Yeah, but you got remember that the Bitcoin ETFs, they will never perform one to Bitcoin because of the fees. All right. So it'll always trade a little bit of at a discount to your spot because it takes fees. All right. Guys, if you've got Bitcoin ETFs, fine, but you need real Bitcoin too. That's not real Bitcoin. You need real Bitcoin. The ETF has real Bitcoin. You just have a piece of paper. You don't even have a piece of paper. You have a digit on your screen, but that represents something else that's not Bitcoin, the shares of the ETF. So you don't own Bitcoin. The ETF owns the Bitcoin. You own the shares. That's not the same. You need actual Bitcoin. I'm okay with you having ETF shares, but don't make that the only way you play Bitcoin. That's not cool. That is not cool. You need real Bitcoin. And do you run your own? What is your favorite? Oh, wait. First is what is your favorite L2 on BTC? And do I run my own node? Yes, I run many nodes actually. I've been, guys, I still have homes in a variety of different countries. I have a node in I have a node in multiple countries. There's no real added benefit to that, but I just want to. All right. Um, favorite favorite L2. I guys, look, Lightning, I still think is in its infancy, and I think there's some amazing things that are going to be coming out utilizing layer 2 Lightning over the next several months. It's pretty wild, pretty fascinating. I also think that in the future, block streams layer 2 will be used a lot more in slightly more sophisticated ways. That might take a little bit longer, but I do think that layer 2 is going to explode in the future in its use. One wallet that I love that actually, let me see if I can pull it up here, that utilizes is let me pull it up here for you. Is the Aqua wallet. All right, this is a really cool. I love this. This is my go-to hot wallet for orange pilling new people onto Bitcoin. I have them download the Aqua wallet, send them a few sats. All right. It utilizes Tether. Layer 2, it uses Liquid and Lightning layer 2. So it uses both layer 2 solutions. And it also, you can do Unchained. And the way they have it set out, the way they have it done here, where you know, base layer money is your savings account. and these are your spending accounts. You got cash in the form of USDT, and layer 2 Bitcoin is something a little bit more than cash. All right. But these are your spending accounts. And I love the way they have that laid out. Okay. Okay. All right. Good day. Good day. I'm about to head out too as well. Very, very close to launching Satoshi app, guys. You'll be hearing very, very soon. Excited about that. Oh, good question. I'll take this last question here, guys. Will the day come when nearly all exchanges have no Bitcoin left? I believe that. Let me even go further. Let me even take this even further than what you're thinking. I believe that there is a point in the future where a Bitcoin will not be sold. That it will be exchanged for things of very high value, but you won't be able to buy Bitcoin with government money, pieces of paper. No one is going to continue to take a pig in a blanket for Manhattan. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's reported, this may not be entirely true, but it was reported that Manhattan was purchased by the Portuguese for 24 for things that accounted for about 24 US dollars today. With inflation, that would equate to $1,000 today. But for $24, right? All of Manhattan was purchased. When today we are in that period as it relates to Bitcoin, that people are willing to give us Manhattan for $24. People are willing to give up what is in short order going to be the most valuable thing on planet Earth outside of gold for money printed out of thin air that goes down every single second you hold it in value. That is not going to happen forever. The world is going to wake up as like, I'm not giving you my precious Bitcoin for pieces of paper. I believe that exchanges, that is not a long-term business. You're not going to see exchanges. They're not going to exist in the form that they exist now, where they help you exchange US dollars and other fiat currencies for Bitcoin. That's not going to exist anymore. No one is going to sell the most valuable thing on earth that is guaranteed mathematically to go up in value every 4 years of your life forever for pieces of paper that go down every single second you hold them. It's just that the world is still asleep on that. But it's not going to be forever. You are going to, the only way you're going to ever get Bitcoin in the future is you're going to have to work and please. You have to work for or please a Bitcoiner. Do you understand this? You're going to have to find a Bitcoiner, and you had better come correct. You had better come with something so astronomically valuable to encourage, to incentivize that Bitcoiner to give up his future, because Bitcoin is your future. It's going up forever for the rest of your life. To give up all of that, the rest gains for the rest of your life, to give that up to you, you better come with something so valuable. And so it is going to, in my opinion, it is going to raise the level of productivity to heights the world has never seen before, because you will no longer be able to get away with producing junk, producing things that are less than excellent, because you won't be able to get Bitcoin if you do that. No one is going to give up. What do you give up the most valuable thing on earth for? What do you give it up for? Do you give it up for the 15th most valuable thing on earth? Does that make sense? What do you give up the most valuable thing on earth for? Do you give it up for the number 5 most valuable thing on earth? Does that make sense? No. The majority of the world will not give this up. Now, remember I told you I had three prices. I thought I told you that. I got to cover my last price and I got to get out of here. The first price was the psychological 100,000. Most of the world is still short the upside. 100,000 is going to do a lot for Bitcoin, in my opinion. Number 2, 150,000. That puts Bitcoin in that number 2 slot right under gold as the most valuable thing outside of gold on planet Earth. And then there's the big one. There's the flippening of gold. And that takes place at, let's call that 650,000. So 650,000 more or less becomes the number 1 most valuable thing on planet Earth. 150,000 Bitcoin becomes the most valuable thing on Earth outside of gold. 100,000 puts it in that rare psychological crossing point where the world really says, I just can't ignore this anymore. Crazy, right? First time catching live. Awesome. Glad you're here. I'm about to head out though. Here. Okay. Obi, when do you reckon banks will adopt BTC as collateral and start lending against it? Well, that is actually started now. I believe that by next cycle, every single bank in the world will custody Bitcoin, will be allowed to custody Bitcoin and offer financial services based on Bitcoin. That's just a few short years away. Every single financial organization on planet Earth, that's by next cycle. It's happening, guys. It's happening fast. Ciao for now. All right. That's our Bitcoin talk for today, guys. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. There's 1,300, almost 1,400 people here. So I appreciate that, guys. All right. I hope you found something of value here today. And I'll see you next time. You know what to do. Get to work. Stack harder. Boom. Boom. Crazy. Ciao. My name is Oliver Velez, and I am your 13%er Bitcoiner. Be safe out there. And until next time. Boom.